Hi, I'm Jack, and this is my commentary for my LEGO the Hobbit speedrun. This is the first time I've beaten the game in under 11 minutes, and it's the first run that I actually consider to be a nice, good, clean run. There are quite a lot of mistakes in it, but anyway, I need to start explaining the glitches because first thing I do is an Alt-Tab launch. This game is very glitchy when it comes to high frame rates, so if you'll Alt-Tab out of the game or change VSync, it can also often send you high if you're like pausing, and it will increase your FPS. I actually launched a bit too high here, so that lost me a couple seconds, but it still saves a good deal of time over going through the room as normal. Here I'm trying to get some boosts off of railings. Having a high frame rate helps, although you can do it on lower frame rates, and that jump was just micro optimization. I didn't get all the boosts I wanted, but then it is very random, so I'm happy I got even a small boost. So now I'm dropping in player 2, or I'm controlling both of them. I've got one controller on each knee here. And this is just so that in the next few rooms I can make the most of the two-player mechanic and just do different things at the same time. So you see here, I'll go to get one of the things and do the other at the same time. I mess up the movement a bit here, but it works and saves a good deal of time over having to swap between the characters, and it also will help me perform an easier version of this glitch here. So normally in this room you have to go and get all these gems and it takes about 2 minutes, but if you drop out in a jump and then you can get past the trigger. There's a way to do it with one player, you can hit and pass the trigger, but it's much more unreliable. Anyway, this is the real room where 1P2C is, which is what using two controllers is called, really comes in to play, because you can go get the flute while you're getting more resources. You'll need the resources for building in a moment, and we just have to sit through this cutscene. And now once that's done, we're gonna have to go do some mining. It'll only take a couple seconds because mining is pretty easy. I'm just gonna swap to him and get these things done. You can't really speed this part up because you have to get the parts to build the flat building place with, and then this building section pretty easy, just mash to get in. And now this part, I'm actually with player 1, I'm using my chin on the analog stick because that's just the easiest way for me to hold it and be able to press the A button as well. And if any of the items pop up on player 2, I can easily just press A. So yeah, I made a mistake. That's just because my chin's not as accurate as my finger. And now here's the mining section. You can actually save a good deal of time by just having good mining, and I did have pretty good mining. I messed up one, but I didn't really lose any time. I lost maybe a fraction of a second, if that, because the way that I got it, the second one was the one that I messed up, so not a big deal. Anyway, here's another skip. This one takes advantage of player 2 being able to move early, and you can jump through this barrier. Well, I actually ended up jumping over it, but usually I get a faster jump through it, so that actually lost me a bit of time. There's a bit of some jumps to cut off some distance on the railing, and that is very helpful. Now we're into the part where Smog attacks, and I do some 1P2C in this room. You can do a launch over this door, but it's not much faster, and I'd rather just take the consistent method. If I decide to do more 90%, which I'm not sure I will, then maybe I will start doing a launch to save a few seconds, because I am running out of time save. Now the next room is where we're going to be stopping doing 1P2C, and there's also a very unique glitch in here where you can jump on the gold. You just have to hold down A and make sure you're not holding any directions when you're about to land. So I'm actually turning my frame rate and capping it to 60 just to make it easier for this section, because that will make it so that if your frame rate gets too high, you can just die even if you're doing it properly, so that makes it easier. And now I'm dropping out player 2. Also, capping my frame rate comes in play later on for another glitch. It does slow it down a little bit, but it actually just makes it a bit more consistent. And now we're in the auto scroller. Pretty straightforward. Just I spam swap characters because it's fun. I think it might save a fraction of a second if it actually does anything. So yeah, and this is the break before the run gets really crazy. I mean, the first crazy section isn't that hard, but the second crazy section is pretty hard. Now we got through the cutscenes and everything's going. I get around 5:20 to 5:30 usually out of the first level, which is nowhere near the best times you can get. I've seen under 5 minutes out of the first level. There's a lot of micro optimizations that I don't really want to do. I don't want to have to kill my runs. So anyway, we are now Frodo and Sam, and we're just going to take Sam up towards the house. We do a bit of fast movement there. And right about here is where we change the route from a normal playthrough, because we're doing one of those VSync launches I mentioned. And that will launch us out of bounds. And now we are walking out of bounds towards where level 13 is, or rather where it should be. Because if you go to where the level triggers, there's no trigger there. However, all the levels have dev triggers, and most of those are out of bounds, but there's a little bit of the dev trigger for level 13 that is in bounds, and if you are very precise, you can jump and hit it. It's actually not that hard. You could easily do this on any copy of the game. It's very easy with a wizard or a man or an elf, but it is a little bit harder with a hobbit, but very doable, especially if your FPS is capped at 60 or less. It's a little bit harder on higher FPS because your jump is a little bit shorter. Anyway, one of the most frame dependent tricks is coming up in the run. It's a VSync launch, but it is very precise. Like, even I sometimes have trouble with it on my new laptop, and that is a very good laptop. But anyway, it goes well in this run, and you just launch over that. You can go around, you can do 2 smaller launches, or you can use buddy up glitches to get around this hub, but that's not what I did here. Anyway, and then you just need to do a precise jump into the trigger. You need to go up the wall a bit if you're on VSync off. So now we're in level 13, we can exit out, and we will now be playing as Gandalf and Radagast, and we will have horses unlocked. This is very important because we need horses to beat the game. So now we're going to do some more out of bounds movement. I'm going to do a pause launch out. That one probably would have worked, but I just wanted to play it safe. Pause launches are just very random. They do work somewhat consistently, but I have lost a good amount of runs to that one there. And now there's just a bunch of out of bounds movement with the horse. I do mess up at one part. It's the same as I normally get, but I can do it faster, which is just really hard. I used to do the faster way more consistently, but I just can't do it anymore. Or at some point, I just stopped being able to get the jump consistently, and I got it for the first time again a couple days ago, but never really got the hang of it. And you'll see what it is in a moment, because this mountain that we're coming up to is very glitchy. So what we do is we jump on this platform here, and we jump off as close to the edge as we can, and usually you can get up right there, but I missed it, and it's kind of hard, precise. Anyway, we're only 9 minutes into the run, and we're heading up to the Lonely Mountain already. And if you see on the splits, it says world record is 9:54. That's because this run can be done way faster if you just do a bunch of micro optimizations and stuff. I think the best theoretical time is probably around 9:40 or something, which is pretty crazy. But this is second place just because this run is pretty hard, so a lot of people who have done this run usually cap out at least in the low 11s. Like the 11-12 I have was just tied for second, although it was a bit slower, so it was actually third. if you go by milliseconds. Anyway, I'm going to try another pause launch here because I normally do a 60 Hz VSync launch, but that sends me too high. And you'll see I miss it the first time. I don't know what I was doing the second time, but I got it the third time. And I got through the low window. There's no collision there, and that's pretty good. Now turning to 30 Hz, and this will be the hardest trick. Because what I have to do here is pull out a horse, get it half in bounds, half out of bounds, and then pull out a warg, hope I don't fall out. I didn't. And then I have to line up the stud on the right of the screen. And now all I have to do is hold left, and I turn off VSync here just to save a little bit of time on the load, and also because I need it for this final buddy up launch, which is another type of launch we didn't really need anywhere else in the run, but just buddies up on high FPS is very glitchy in this game. You jump up, and that's time. So that was like by far the best run that I've done of this game, and I don't know if I'll try to beat it. I'll probably work on other categories. Anyway, if you like this video, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.